Hello, my name is Michael Berger, and I have an associate's degree in mechanical engineering and a bachelor's degree in digital science. I have a certificate in AutoCAD and cybersecurity. I worked as a student IT assistant at the University of Akron, a math tutor at Stark State College, SMT operator at Airborne Electronics, and as a student team leader at Kent State University in the Federated Desktop Support Department.
And my name is Gregory Hess. I have a bachelor's degree in digital sciences from Kent State University. I have a Test-Out Security Pro certification, as well as numerous certifications through LinkedIn courses. I've held numerous IT positions in end-user support across Kent State, Beechwood Systems, and Northeast Ohio, and in my local area, in local town of Northeast Ohio, as I reside. And I'm en route to a rotational in Brooklyn, Ohio, this coming summer. As of February of 2023, I reside at a business analyst position in my current company in a bank in the Ohio area. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the TechIT podcast. It is a nice fall day here. It is November 18th of 2023. I hope everyone's having a good fall so far, and happy holidays from us here at the TechIT podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Gregory, here with my friend Mike here as we get into the thick of it here with this engaging episode of the TechIT podcast here today. But first, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Greg. How you doing?
It's been pretty good. Work's been getting busy, and I put on my PTO so I can finally get some needed rest and do some work on the house and get to know some people in my life better, like this rando I met online and some friends that are coming back.
It's always good to make new friends and catch up with the old ones, right? Especially since we're coming up on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and then some. But going on with our podcast, someone that's running out of friends these days is Sam Bankman-Fried, which we've covered here today. He is the founder of, and he ran this crypto exchange called FTX. And he was put on trial over the past few months for basically being fraudulent with his stakeholders, as well as taking money and using them to sort of lobby congressmen and people running for office. That was another side of this, but many people just took that side of it, the whole political aspect of it. But here at the TechIT podcast, we look at all aspects of this with an unbiased lens. So we have this piece here from The Ringer that went in deep about how Sam Bankman-Fried has been found guilty on all 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. So, Mike, what's your response to this? Was this going to happen?
Here's the thing about exchanges. Whenever you put your money or your crypto into an exchange, there's always a chance of it going bankrupt or someone running off with the funds. They're very skittish. I don't know if that's the best word for it, but the best way to deal with exchanges is you go on there, you exchange either your money for cash or cash for crypto, or your crypto for another crypto, and then you get out. You don't keep your money in it for more than you need to. It's supposed to be a quick exchange, and then you're gone. Keeping your money on something like that compared to keeping your money in a safe place like on your desktop, laptop. The best solution is always something that's not constantly interacting with online, like the internet. So, for example, a USB drive or like an encrypted hard drive,
SSD.
something that's password protect. Yeah, something that's password protected. Yeah, always use a trusted wallet. Do your research on what wallets are the most trusted out there, and
keep it in a trusted wallet. You could even buy like a pre-made USB wallet, like where you just plug it in. You could just put it directly into the USB wallet. They have those out there. And I think they have like physical like codes you have to type into the USB device. There's all kinds out there that'll keep your crypto safe. So like that's really the best way to go about it. Anyone keeping their crypto on the exchange, I would get that out of there. Any exchange, because they're all risky endeavors.
Yeah, and especially this form where this was built up as like the future of exchanges. Like he wanted to go above Coinbase. That's what this guy was shooting for, along with his this lady partner he had in mind, who was one of the partners involved in this effectively now pronounced scam. As there are three different sets of victims here to consider with this: the customers of FTX, which can be your average Joe just trying to get into crypto; the lenders to Alameda Research, the prop trading firm that was also defrauded by Bankman-Fried; and outside investors that probably should have done more research on this, but they were also defrauded of effectively millions of dollars. So I don't want to really threat that too much, as there are reams of evidence. We're not a Law and Order podcast, so I'm going to try to make this brief here with this legalese stuff. If you want true crime stuff, go watch your dad's TV. There are reams of evidence that have been introduced over the course of the trial that showed how Bankman-Fried solicited, accessed, misrepresented, and spent some $10 billion of other people's money, as well as three different testimonies from different once trusted colleagues and friends who already pleaded guilty, who spoke under cooperation agreements with the government to get this through for this gentleman. And if this goes completely through, he can be in jail probably for the rest of his life. But I imagine with good behavior, he'll probably be out before me and Mike are retired. As well as just the case of him lying and his strategy of just being more about the money and not being about the company sometimes, which capped off with him running away to the Bahamas instead of facing the crime initially. So, kind of nipping this in the bud together here. As someone that remembers FTX even going as far as being an advertisement for the Super Bowl twice, like this wasn't like a lesser known thing. This was a commercialized thing that even a regular Joe would find out in the public. So it's telling to see how this goes, and we'll keep you posted on how much Sam Bankman-Fried actually gets sent to serve, because this is the most up-to-date message I found on this case, and this was about 15 days ago. So we'll keep you posted if we have another episode before the year end on this case and matter, as well as the side case about celebrities that are in trouble for endorsing this scam, which includes multiple documents of physical documents as well as signal messages. So, moving on to a lighter note here, for a positive of what we can have with today's technology rather than negatives of crypto schemes. The Beatles, the old classic band The Beatles, they had a song come out called Now and Then, in case you guys haven't heard about that. And it's said to be their last song made out of old demos from John Lennon and machine learning help by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr, but nothing from the late George Harrison. So this is a positive story for once on AI being used for good and not for nefarious and cryptic reasons. So this is the first genuine song by the Beatles since '95, and it was helped with machine learning and AI. Do you have a take on this, Mike?
I think it's really cool. I kind of don't want to go into it too deep, but there is something to be said for, not that we need to say that the current artists are, in trouble or anything, but like this kind of pushes away from humans making music to AI making music. So is this good? Is this bad? It definitely takes some jobs away from people. Is the AI gonna express human thoughts, human emotions through these songs, which is kind of what like people vibe with? I don't know.
Well, yeah,
But
it's telling
definitely
them
something to keep an eye on. It's really cool that we can have like this new song from. So like, if you think about it, like I'm sure there's plenty of like unfinished songs from like dead rappers or whatever that we might even get more of thanks to
Juice WRLD.
AI. Yeah, so like that might be kind of cool to see stuff like that. But on the other hand, we got to be careful with it, on what we do.
Yeah,
With
it was. It's all about the nature of how we take this in consideration. Because I remember it was over the summer I saw a headline about, and I read it about how an AI was signed to a record label. I think it was Warner Brothers, Warner Media Group, which is one of the big four, like recording companies you can have for like making it into the business. And when I saw that, I said, "Oh wow, how many people are going to buy into this?" And it's not a super degree because the reaction to this was mostly leaning negative, that an AI is just singing songs and just kind of like going about it like it's normal. But my piece on it is just for those that are fans of the Beatles, and I'm not that big a fan of the Beatles. They were before my time. It was more like me and Mike's parents' time for like the Beatles. But it's all in the matter of like what we can manage with AI being put in something as big as music and putting out music for people in the state of like what we have here with music streaming and SoundCloud, and in a world where I can make an AI song that sounds like Plankton and put it on YouTube and get millions of views. I don't know. Have you seen those, Mike? It's like you like get AI to train the AI to sing like a character, and then you have them sing a song after separating the melody from the lyric, the vocals.
I have not seen that, but that does sounds quite interesting.
I should show you some. There's one that I think his name's Glorb. He has an AI that is trained to sound like Plankton from SpongeBob.
I would
And
thoroughly enjoy that. Wait, what is he singing?
He sings his own songs, but sometimes he sings like Evanescence and stuff like that.
Oh, I would enjoy that. Oh my gosh, you have to show me that another time.
And that's separating that versus this other group I found that does SpongeBob impressions and they do like gangster rap. But that's the wrong. This is the wrong podcast to talk about that.
Yeah,
if you want
not
more
make this
in
a
depth
music podcast.
No, that'd be too long a podcast. Us talking about music. But if you want a taste of what this song is, you can look up the song on YouTube as well as streaming platforms where you stream music. Be your Spotify, your Apple Music, Pandora. Is Pandora still around? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But it was all built around off of the song's documentary, which doesn't give us much of a detail yet on how this was completed, but it is from the late artists like John Lennon and George Harrison to just sort of splice together what we can make with songs, but also it brings up the conversation, like we said, on where's the limit on what we can do with AI and how much does it take away if we let it supersede what we put in place. And
I hear you. Well, from one AI story to the next, let's talk about NVIDIA and the H200 and how the new GPUs will have AI.
Yeah, so this piece is on theverge.com, much like the last one. You can look that story up on there as well as more concentrated versions of this as well. You can find on other sites as well if you want a greater conversation about it. But yeah, this is a big step for NVIDIA, even though since COVID, they've been trying to get a foothold back in the market with just people wanting to buy the graphics cards despite the shortages and supply chain issues that we've discussed on this podcast at least twice now. But this is a good jump for them, I'd say, in just relevancy as well as just trying something out. But the trick is I don't want them to go full all hands on deck with AI chips yet. As this H200 appears to be relatively the same as the H100 outside of the memory that's in place in it. But the meaningful upgrade is in the memory itself, because there's a faster memory spec on this called HBM3E, which brings the GPU's memory bandwidth to 4.8 terabytes per second, up from 3.35 in the previous generation of the 100. Thereby utilizing optimization and efficiency, according to Ian Buck, the vice president of NVIDIA's high-performance computing products. I'm just wondering how this will look for just a regular Joe just trying to build their PC, or a regular plain Jane just trying to build their PC, as well as the many different people that are just going to see this at like stores like your Micro Centers and just go, what do I do with this? When, like the article says, there's people already struggling getting the 3900s. So when this was announced, it was like, oh wow, but can you increase supply on the ones we're trying to get before the holidays? And this was the response of just, how about get this one? So while the thought of generative AI has just been an explosive year for generative AI rather, I'm wondering how much you can really put with it.
Well, let's take a break from AI real quick here. I'm sure we have more of it coming up, but let's talk about GPUs for a little bit longer. There was a video on YouTube Shorts that I came across, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. It's a video of this guy taking a 3070, and 3070s come with 8 gigabytes of memory on them, and he did a home mod where he desoldered the two 4 gigabyte chips, and then put two new parts in there for 8 gigabytes each to make 16 gigabyte 3070s for his home PC, his home setup, and he got it running. It's running great on his PC. It even boosted the frames on one of the games he's currently playing. So I thought that was cool. I love mods like this. I think this is really cool. If you guys want to check it out, it's on YouTube. It's called 3070 with 16 gigabytes.
And what's the YouTube channel name?
I think it's... Hold on, let me double check that for you. It's a YouTube short from UFD Tech.
Okay. So check out UFD Tech if you want to know more about the latest in computer hardware news, as well as pieces that go more in depth or in short bursts of content about this. So, and then back to NVIDIA itself. Well, I like the model of that. It's all about knowing what you're doing. So, to try to desolder a chip, please know what you're doing. Don't hurt yourself.
Right. Yeah, it can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So if you want to do this yourself, make sure you do the proper research and have the proper safety features nearby. Make sure you're in a well ventilated area. You know, keep maybe a fire extinguisher if it's your first time, because those soldering guns get really hot. If they touch anything, they could start a fire. But yeah, all kinds of stuff like that. And you want to protect your whatever you're working on too, because you're going to deconstruct this board. Make sure you're being safe with like static electricity can fry any parts on your board. Make sure you're using ESD safety equipment and using heat sinks in the required areas.
Yeah, just the right procedure and the right planning for all this is to be taken in hand before you do home modifications to something as big as your computer. So, but back to this piece about the AI chip, though. I get the push for this because they're kind of starting to get lost in the conversation. Not too lost, granted. It's Nvidia versus AMD, but it was AMD that was at the crux of the whole Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal, where AMD would now be part of like this push for cloud gaming for that agreement. So I don't know what that's going to look like on paper yet, but Nvidia, I think, doing pushes like this versus the big deals with Microsoft that AMD just did, it'll be telling about what that will look like going into this new year with new quarters and new stories for us to tell.
Speaking of news stories, let's talk about Grok.
Yeah, so not Grok, Grok. So
Grok.
if you haven't heard of this, and as we try to find the best, most interesting stories for your viewers out there, it is a new AI that Elon Musk is making with real-time knowledge and capture approach with what he calls a rebellious stance to it. After this is in response to his distaste for OpenAI and Sam Altman, who just before recording this, I saw that Sam Altman was fired as CEO of OpenAI. But that's a story. That's a huge story for another day as that develops. But back to Grok, though. Back to Grok.
Grok. I just like saying it.
So Grok. It was modeled after Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Okay. And it's designed to answer suggest a wide range of questions, like a ChatGPT. Again, because all the way back in 2018, OpenAI was founded, and Elon was a part of this agreement. But as time went on, Elon didn't like the taste that in his mouth from OpenAI, so he left. And then we covered a story just during the summer, I believe, where he lobbied to he got a letter with a bunch of signatures on it to say, we all don't like what's going on with ChatGPT. Please stop it. But they discovered that those were forged signatures. So, while that's bad, and forging's bad, like he's like a 14-year-old kid trying to make the field trip. It's about the drive that Elon has to just outperform OpenAI still while still running his other ventures is interesting in itself to try to put all this on his plate, even though I'm not a fan of Elon Musk at all. But back to Grok here. It's going to be built with its real-time knowledge via the X platform, the former Twitter. And I'm just reading the announcement that he put out here that it will also answer spicy questions that are rejected by most other AI systems. I'm not sure what that means, but he's probably leaning to aspects like answering political charged questions, which I don't want that to be frowned upon.
Well, in the article, it talked about like giving instructions to make cocaine, and that in itself can be scary. Like, you don't want kids going on this and be like, how do you make drugs or whatever, or like,
yeah, I don't want the access to be completely open
in general.
I don't want this to be completely open,
but there is something to be said about there are some questions out there that AI should be able to answer that aren't answered by the other like ChatGPT and all the other ones, that could like some things concerning health and safety, like they won't answer, or they don't give very specific answers. I think there is something to be said about opening it up a little bit to make sure people are getting the right information at the right time. But that's something that's going to be very trial and error for these companies.
Yeah, it's all based in the data that is writing from the AI that is being supplied to the AI for this.
I was very concerned that he's using X as his platform for training the AI, because I don't know if that platform is really, that really the best intellectually. I don't know. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's like, you know, people just say whatever they want on there. Just off the top of their head without filtering it, and you know, it can be taken the wrong way, or you know, maybe they just saw something that shouldn't be said.
Yeah, because I don't want AI to learn like if you have a bunch of people on Twitter say the Earth is flat, and you have the data collection happen for the AI one day, and the Grok AI is like, oh, there's a lot of people that say the Earth is flat. That's probably right, and it will change its thinking based off that. Because I read a book on it that I don't remember the book right now, but that's kind of how AI is trained somehow. Sometimes where you have to give it an inference system with like a scalable nature to just piece together what's right versus what's wrong. Like there was a book about training an AI to cook, wasn't what I read. And she said giving it recipes from like old cookbooks kind of pilled it so that it didn't use anything new. So everything was like bland and the like. And that can happen greatly with answering just questions. Even though this infrastructure has Kubernetes, Rust, and JAX in it. I agree with you, Mike, that I don't want this to be hosted and taken from X.
I think it should be a little bit from X, but I think there needs to be more training from other places as well, you know? Like the majority of it should be actual data compared to just stuff people randomly say on the internet.
Yeah, and people think this is a push for how accurate this is because you got to have an accurate AI bot if you're going up against Google's Bard and ChatGPT. And one of the tests they gave Grok was the 2023 Hungarian National High School Math Exam. This is real, where it earned a C, which is passing. I think that's passing still in Europe, but still, I wouldn't guide a whole reference arc and reference place to be a C, as well as again, this is trained mostly on Twitter user data. And it's because the keynote speaker, founder of Culture Fluid in this piece, had to pause the accuracy test of this because it got a C on the math exam and is working with users that can say anything, as we mentioned already. But another take I found on this is that people say this is based in Musk's push to monetize Twitter, which I've already seen him try to do with the Twitter Blue plans, which we covered last month or 2 months ago. Because he's lost a fair amount of money, like in the millions, 8 figures, since getting Twitter. And while this story is new and it just came out, we'll keep you posted on how it is, whether it be updates about it or if it gets shelved all of a sudden or anything in between like that. We'll let you all know on the TechIT podcast.
Sounds good. Let's head over to another story from UFD Tech. This is another YouTube short I found. I just thought it was kind of cool. I wanted to share it with you guys. So, for those of you that have a Tesla, or know someone with a Tesla, or have driven a Tesla, and know that there's definitely some improvements to be made. One of them is the interface when you go to do stuff. It's all one screen, right? So like in your standard vehicles, like if you want to change the turn on the AC or whatever, you just hit a button, right? And you don't have to like tap 3 screens to get there. And from what it sounds like, I haven't driven a Tesla before, but from what it sounds like is you have to swipe around on these screens or push a lot of buttons to get to the like whatever it is, the audio controls, the
navigation,
control, air condition, navigation.
Audio.
So you can't have like all these screens up at once. So what one of the drivers, someone that drives one of these, made their own set of physical buttons for the Tesla for things that you would need while driving, so you don't have to swipe through a bunch of screens or click through a bunch of screens to get to the button you're looking for. So it's just a physical button you can push. And it's just, if you guys check out the video, it's, what's the video called again?
Tesla physical buttons.
Yeah, Tesla physical buttons. It's really cool. You guys can go check it out. And they just show this, they show someone attaching these physical buttons underneath the screen in the Tesla that you can actually just push. So it's really cool. I recommend you guys go check it out. If you have a Tesla, maybe look into getting it because it's also like a safety feature, so you don't have to like look at this display while driving.
Yeah, and it's towing now with why we have to do this now for safety on the road because there was a bill passed back in August, Mike, here in Ohio that you cannot touch your phone while you're driving.
Oh, interesting.
Like, so
what about people that are trying to like GPS themselves places?
Nope, that counts. You can't touch the button while you're on the road. So that's why I have to be really careful that I know where I'm going because the fines can go up to $1,000 on the third pullover. I think the first fine's $200, and then
well,
it ends
I understand they're trying to keep people safe here, but what do you think the next improvement for UI for like things like this? I've been thinking about this, and I really think the next step is everything's gonna be voice commands. Like you're gonna be like, "Hey Tesla" or whatever. Maybe it'll name your car or something. Because we have our phones do it easily. We could say "Hey Siri" or "Hey Google" or sorry if I'm activating your phones, but you say these voice commands and you just tell your phone to do something. Why aren't we implementing that into our cars yet?
Yeah, I'd say you're on the right track there because I think the future is voice recognition as well as
activating my phone.
Biometrics. I'd say there's like a lot of biometrics you can put in. Personally, I think biometrics are the safest security feature you can have. But that's just what I learned in college, biometrics being the safest thing you can have for securing something, as well as like for security. With after these videos of people stealing Hyundai and Kia cars from TikTok videos, which we refrained from and we covered back in July. I think that's the future of cars is in security, at least, is biometrics, voice recognition for navigation,
agreed.
as well as cloud. I think that'd be interesting piece to have.
But what would you store in your cloud, or what would you have access to in your cloud while you're driving?
I'd say you can have like a private
maybe
cloud
it's like
just your
cloud
car.
music. Maybe your car just has like a music, like you can upload playlists to your car cloud, and then you're like, these are my driving, or maybe these are my my road trip playlists or whatever. I think that'd be cool.
Well, yeah, I'd say it'd be like you'd have like a portable Wi-Fi card in your, which there's some cards that have that now, but hear me out. It's like you store the songs on there, so you're not taking your phone while you're driving to change the song or put on the song. You have GPS location saved on there. If you have to I gotta drive to a friend's house in Dayton, but I have to type it in, and oh no, there's a change in the road. You'd have a cloud card on there that dynamically changes it if there's an accident or something, tree fell down or something. So you don't have to stop your car, or worse, be driving on the highway and edit your car while you're on the highway. And I think there's a lot of savings there that can be done there if we really go through this cloud push, which granted, I had my piece about cloud and other industries like gaming, because I don't think cloud gaming is going to pick up until way later, because people still want physical copies and they still want stores to last.
People are stuck in the past sometimes. We need to move forward.
Yeah, and we got to continue to move forward and get with the change and be able to accept change, because
I look forward to
change isn't going to wait for you.
I look forward to the day where I can get in my car and say, hey, I don't know, Bruce. Maybe I named my car Bruce. Hey, Bruce, take me to, I don't know, CVS or something like that, or the drugstore, and put on my chill playlist, and it just goes. It just goes because it's self-driving. It's got voice commands, and then maybe I have like a preset air conditioning mode or something to keep it at this degree or whatever.
Yeah, because closest I've seen with presets is just presets for where the seat goes, and presets you can make for the radio stations. That's the most I've seen, but you can do more with just setting stuff on your car with my Wi-Fi card idea and your takes on having it be self-driving and voice activated, because it's hard to steal a car when you have to replicate someone's voice. Just saying.
The biometrics, always good an idea to have those biometrics.
Biometrics as well. You don't, because it's not like people are still stealing cars, but I'm saying it'd be harder if you had biometric locks on them, as well as voice locks.
So,
'Cause-
well, that's part of your biometrics. Your voice is part of your biometrics. So even if you had where you had to do like
open the
a
trunk,
voice command plus scan your iris or something to start
fingerprint.
it. Yeah.
So, at the least, fingerprints. Phones are still slow on fingerprints because there's face lock, which I don't know how you put that in a car, but maybe you can have a fingerprint lock and maybe iris.
Well,
lock.
dashboard cams are all the rage right now. They're just good for safety, and I know that there's a lot of companies that have dashboard cams that face the driver. So I don't. That seems invasive, but they still do it. But having a dash cam to view out your front window, it can save you a lot of money because it can determine who's at fault for accidents and stuff like that. So I don't see I see a future where you're gonna have cameras in and outside of your vehicle. You already have a backup camera, so why wouldn't they just add a few more, one to your dashboard and one facing you for scan your irises or whatever?
I think the path is there because my car has 3 cameras on it, one in the back, one in the front, and one just past the windshield on the bottom to help me steer, which I think I turned off, but the thought's there but that's just cameras for maneuverability.
Right.
They're not smart cameras, they're regular ones. They just say, "Uh-oh, car coming," and it's eat, and it's "Uh-oh, I should adjust myself."
Well, there's definitely the potential for something.
Potential is there.
Yeah, in the future.
And that's but we're not car people. I'm not Mr. Toyota to make these changes. We gotta help make the changes ourselves.
I'm Mr. Toyota over here. I've only had Toyotas.
I'm Mr. Nissan now.
Mr. Nissan?
But I'm not going to Japan anytime soon.
Right on. So I think let's go ahead and wrap it up for today. I think we had a lot of great stories for our listeners today, and I want to thank them all for joining us.
Yeah, thank you again, everyone, for listening to our content as we try to put the best stories out for you. Every time we make the time to just put the work forth and just give you all the best stories that we have that get to know it in the mainstream news because it's too advanced and then some from their standpoint. Feel free to give us a like, a share, and a comment. Feel free to reach out to us and comment on our SoundCloud and YouTube pages and Buzzsprout if you're interested in our Patreon to help us support what we do here on the TechIT podcast as part of M&G Productions. And we just like you all to, again, have a safe and happy holidays and stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant.